Hi, I'm Lindsay, and this is my grandpa, David McDaniel, who has worked in the furniture industry for 44 years. Let's start off by telling me a little bit about when you first started working in the furniture industry.
Lindsay, I started working in the furniture industry in 1965. I was 16 years old, and they started out at $1.25 per hour. The plants at that time was working 10 to 12 hours per day. Business was booming. We worked late hours during the week, and any hours during the weekend I did to make some extra money because it wasn't overtime anyway. And after I graduated from high school, I stayed with the company for 44 years. And during those years, I held many different positions in the company and worked all the way until the factories closed.
When did you notice a shift from business booming to business coming to a close? Was it gradual or was it kind of sudden?
At the very beginning, I really didn't pay any attention to it, but it was, when I look back now, it was gradual. And I even look back and it really started in the late 60s. I noticed that's when the first shift that we really noticed it. Business wasn't booming as good then. The profits wasn't coming in, and the companies was actually struggling to make ends meet at that time. And the foreign imports started around those times, and at the time I thought nothing of it. But over time it became obvious, what was happening.
Right. And because you held such a high position at the company, do you feel like you played a part in the starting of importing the goods?
I was the quality control manager in the year 2005 through 8, and the reason I had the quality control experience, so I was one of the first that actually went to help to start the imports. And I traveled to Asia, and I sat on many of the meetings where I could see price decisions, and I can remember like say if a dresser had cost $200 here in the States, you could actually get it for about $80 built in China.
Yeah.
And we also took them on tours. When I was quality control manager, naturally that was part of my job, is to give people come in, and I'd get a call from top management to come in and say, hey David, would you, we got some folks who want you to give a tour. So when I would go pick them up, it would be a lot of the Asians and people from Taiwan and those places.
Yeah.
And I just noticed they were eager to take pictures, and I right then things I saw they saw how things were done, and then eventually we taught them how to make our furniture.
Yeah. When was the moment you realized that the plants would close for good?
Well, started in not really 1990. That's really when you really started seeing a movement.
Yeah.
And there was the first plant actually was shut down in 1990, and around about 2001, you can really see a lot of movement and the factories and the businessmen and the management. Actually, you can see them making trips, traveling overseas, and you could just feel something in the air, and you knew something was going to happen. And the last plant in Bassett was Superior Lines, and it was shut down in 2006. And that was the last plant that actually was shut down.
Right. Do you see at this point there ever being a turnaround in the factory industry?
I think so, because with my traveling and my experience that I've traveled overseas, and when I first started, a lot of the just regular factory workers were making on an average of 50 cents per hour. And then some of the more experienced people on machinery, some of those got from around 75 cents to $1, which I understand now, and I've been retired for some time, and I understand now that they're actually getting over $1 and something an hour.
Yeah.
But even in Vietnam, and a lot of the companies going to Vietnam from China, and because Vietnam, my time when I was traveling, it was probably like 25 cents an hour.
Yeah.
So the companies move wherever the price is. So and I see the people in the other countries' rebellion because they have so much business,
Yeah.
and they will get tired of paying 50 cents an hour,
Right.
and it's $1 an hour, and they're going to start, prices are going to start having to go up on our furniture. So what's going to happen, the profits are not going to look so good for the companies in the United States, so they'll start thinking about, hey, it's better to bring it overseas, and then you control your destiny and not have to worry about traveling across the water, which takes basically about, at one time it was like about 30 days to actually transport across the ocean to get your product, and then the time you got it to your plant, and you know, it could be about 40 days, and I'm sure they probably have beaten that time now. But one time it's about 30 days.
Yeah. So, do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, you know, after retiring, 66 years old, and being able to sit out on my patio, drink a cup of coffee, sometimes you just look back over time and you think, and I sort of think about the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And you know, the Japanese, when they came over, I can remember the stories that I read and the movies that I watched, and you know, all the pilots were flying, the Japanese pilots, and they were laughing and having a good time, and they couldn't believe that the ships wasn't ready. They couldn't believe anybody wasn't shooting at them.
Yeah.
And these sailors were, you know, some was asleep, some was you know, sitting out just enjoying life, but nobody ever expected the Japanese to come over.
Yeah.
And that year, at that time, they woke up a sleeping giant. And I think when I look back, I compare the imports in my mind. I compare the imports to something similar to Pearl Harbor. And you know, at that time, they woke up a sleeping giant. At that time, and I sort of look back at the imports, and I believe somewhat the same thing happened with the imports.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Papa.